The statistics show right now that we should be in a bigger level of depression.
When things changed. So
I have very, very controversial opinions on many things, and most things I will dally around because I know I'll piss someone off.
If the government wanted businesses to be more sustainable, they should force us to be more sustainable.
So I moved to Dubai. So right now, obviously, I've moved to Dubai. I went to Bali after Dubai. But then at the end, I went to Dubai and it was great.
I thought you were batshit crazy the first time you mentioned it.
If I don't like it, I come back.
I've been to Dubai.
I came here to be politically correct, and we talk about vaccines, the environmentalist, Corp B, clowns running the show. I think the biggest worry that everyone should have, both as an employee or an entrepreneur, is AI and how it is going to change their life forever.
That's my favorite thing.
hello and welcome to another episode of TED Talks. My name is Edgar, this is Tommy, and today with us Pete Watson, the founder of Destruct, and he recently moved to Dubai, but now this week he come back to UK and we just grabbed him for a couple hours. Hi Pete.
Hi, how are you? Well, how are you both? Let's start there.
I'm all right.
You're looking good.
Not boiling, which is good.
Wait for half hour.
Well,
Yeah.
I walked in here, I was a bit sweaty, which was surprising because the temperature is normally pretty cold in the UK. And then I walked into this room and it was lovely air conditioned. So there's no holding back at the production house here. They don't mind having the aircon on.
We've just got, we're just absolutely rolling in cash. So we've just,
all the sponsors from the podcast, they're just flooding in.
we've got so many.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, to be fair, it's the same time we are sustainable because it's solar panels on the roof, so it's basically...
Are you one of those Corp B companies as well? You know, where you've got is that what it's called, Corp B?
B Corp.
B
No,
Corp close.
no,
I don't know what this means.
It's like
You like ticking boxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
box ticking operation. I think that's
So, enough about us.
Not going down that.
Enough
We
about
had this. So Will King. I don't know when this is going to get
Yeah.
edited, but Will King was here and he mentioned B Corps. I was like, let's move on.
I'm a very traditional business guy. You know, like you make a product, you sell it in the best way possible, and you hire the best people for the job. And if that ticked a few boxes along the way, perfect. But I'm very traditional in terms of how I run a business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of boxes you can tick and flags you can fly and do various different things. In reality, everyone in business is to do well, to support their family and have a good time along the way. So I have no idea. I just see these random things like B Corp, whatever, and I'm just like, cool. I'm just going to do my job. Like,
Yeah.
I've probably ticked half of them, maybe three quarters. I don't know. I don't even know what they are.
So it's like people, planet, before profit or something like that. But you're really like pushing your people and the planet. But like companies like Nespresso are a B Corp, like the plastic pots
Okay.
that are everywhere.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I
it's-
push people, obviously, and then planet. I mean, I flew from Dubai to here, so I've probably written that one off before we even start.
Yeah, and it was all those cars we were burning outside. We probably should
Yeah,
have done
yeah.
that
And also
before
the aircon on full blast.
the aircon on.
I mean,
full
we
blast.
are.
It is cold.
If you've
in
got
here.
it, you got to lose. I'm going to report you.
I'm from country where people not believe in this, so...
So you're just opting out.
No, I'm just trying to
Hands up.
adjust. I'm recycling my garbage. That's probably it, but I'm trying. That's a big
Well,
step.
do you know what?
already.
All we ask for in this world is that you try.
Yeah.
That's it.
But it's just because I don't know. It's not like intentionally hate nature, but I just don't know some stuff about it. So
if you think you're hating nature too much, just you can go and plant those seeds with Ed.
with Ed. We had
Yeah.
him. We had it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there are ways that if you are just an idiot like me, or yourself, clearly, we just plant some seeds.
yeah, the one good advice I remember from him, it's when you're buying stuff on Amazon, just try to pick the environmentally friendly seller. So that's what I'm doing now.
Traditional business guy, I buy the cheapest. Right.
So, Pete, you were in this building
Yeah, what was-
many moons ago.
Yeah.
How did you start Distract?
So a lot of people go straight into the distract part of the story, which is an interesting part. I actually started in business when I was 16. So my first business was 16 years old. I tried to build like an advertising network, basically, which obviously failed. And I've just kept kind of iterating from that point. My early success was I built the largest technology car how-to guides on the internet. So they're still going today. There's like 25,000 views a day we get. And they were picked up by the Sunday Times, and some other kind of PLCs and stuff. So that was kind of my first real success. And then I came to university to understand more about marketing. It was really obvious to me that for business to be a success, you had to understand marketing. It was really obvious to me. So I did what everyone does when it comes to this stuff. I went and tried to learn more about marketing. So I came to University of Lincoln to learn more about marketing. And I launched, first year, second year, a few different companies. Like I launched the first Snapchat affiliate network. So we would literally put out coupon codes through Snapchat. We had, I think it was like 9,000 users. It was called Snap Discount. And then that was kind of like second year of uni. And then whilst doing that for one of the clients in Lincoln, they said, can you manage my social media? And I was like, sure, why not? So I started managing the social media for Eskimo milkshakes, which was, if you're in Lincoln, Eskimo milkshakes are. And then at that point we started getting more and more clients. And then I said to the university, can I have an office space? And they gave me the, bit of to and fro, but they gave me an office in this building. So I was in literally the smallest office in the whole building. I mean, I've shown you both, like it was tiny. It's most people's like, if you got a walk-in wardrobe, that is the size of my office. At peak of that office, we maybe had 4 people in there. I was in the third year of university with 4 people in that office. And I remember going to no lectures, and my lecturers being really forgiving. They were very much like, we know what you're doing, Pete. We've got 4 staff. And they were supporting. A guy called Barry Ardley was like top tier, really got me through the university. And yeah, my business partner for everything now is Bradley McKenney. Met him on the first day of uni, and we've always just been doing stuff together. So Distract has come a long way since then. I mean, Distract is now a 9-year-old project, of which everyone thinks our main aim with Distract was to grow an agency. It actually wasn't. Main aim for Distract was to build a growth machine that we could point in the direction of our other projects. So Distract is, for me, a free marketing machine. I can buy a brand or build a brand and I get marketing for free. It just how happens it makes profit from clients too. So that's always been the aim for Distract. It's a machine that makes me have companies that grow more. And then from that point, we've developed now to my main job now is Featured Group. Featured Group is a group of organizations we bought, started, acquired over time. And we've got things like conveyancing brands, number 1 on Trustpilot. It's called Fletcher Longstaff. Incredible business. We bought it from the administrators during COVID. We've got an online pharmacy as well. We've got a drug that cures hair loss. And we're currently launching an AI outreach tool. We've just got loads of stuff, right? But it all comes down to understanding marketing. And that's why I fell in love so much with marketing. And that's kind of been the 9-year, 10-year, whatever it's been, that's been kind of the process.
What's the main thing you're working on at the moment?
So right now, obviously, I've moved to Dubai. So Dubai was a double-ended kind of win. I got to this point where I was just sweating it, working for like 10 years.
Well, you'd be sweating moving to Dubai.
Well, I mean,
you fucking idiot, it's boiling.
Different kind of sweat, bro. The sweat you get when you boys know, right? You're in the trenches of startup land. Like it is lonely. Your friends don't understand it. And if you've got a missus that understands it, you're doing all right. Because sorry, love, we can't go there or can't quite do that. We need to save money, so it's really, really difficult, right? And I was telling a lot of my friends this. I was in a point probably 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, where I genuinely could do pretty much anything. I could buy that, but I never did. I just cashed the money and banked it. And then when opportunities came, I didn't have to think about it. I could just buy it. So that's how we bought Fletcher Longstaff. Fletcher Longstaff is a business now. It does a substantial amount in revenue and profit. And if we didn't have the cash that we saved to buy it, we wouldn't be able to buy it. That makes sense. So I've always been frugal beyond any expectations. But in the trenches, not spending much money and just grinding for 10, 12 years is long. And I was talking about this, one of our kind of connections we have. I said he's tired. He'll be tired in business. He's been doing it for 10 years and he's still doing the same shit for 10 years. He's tired. So I got to this point where I was tired of being in the trenches for so long, just sweating it out. I had a nice car, a nice flat, I had a nice everything. I could do what I wanted to do, but I was still sat in the same seat I've been in for 10 years. And, I watched the rumors come from the budget, and I'll be really open and honest with people on this. And when Jeremy Hunt said I'm increasing corporation tax to 25%, I said I'm gone. I straight up was like, if he increases corporation tax from 19% to 25%, I'm out. So I pay way too much tax. I'm done. And people thought I was genuinely joking. So I was like, right, I'm on the move then. So I looked at Bali. Bali have got a freelancer visa thing out there. You go out there paying a tax.
Didn't you go out there for a bit?
I went to Bali after Dubai. But then at the end, I went to Dubai and it was great. I loved it. People were great. They're really welcoming. Loads of cultures. it's all, everything that you think might be wrong with the Western world, like in terms of how it's ran, it just works perfectly over there. Oh yeah, there's some things that need tweaking, whatever, but as a general broad brush, it works really, really well. And I thought, I was 29, I'm 30 now. I thought, I'm 29. I've been sweating it for 10, 12 years. If I don't like it, I come back. Like, this is the thing that everyone forgets, right? Is your life can be whatever it wants to be. Now, yes, they're going to be, you might have kids, you might have, a mortgage you can't get rid of, whatever, right? But in reality, at 29 years old, I was pretty free to be able to go, I'm going to move to Dubai. And if I don't like it, I'll come home. So I moved to Dubai and I set up an office there. And the idea is to build out the Middle Eastern offering in Dubai, which is great fun because, you're talking to all sorts of people. Dubai is a hub for everybody who's trying to level up in the world. You could be leveling up from being a builder to being, you were on $300 a month in India, now you're on $700 a month in Dubai. You've still leveled up. It's just different levels of leveling up, right? Whereas I've come over there and I've leveled up, and there'll be some billionaire who's like, everyone's leveling up. Right? The great thing about Dubai is everybody's leveling up. So you go into a place where the mindset is to level up. So you think a lot bigger. But that's it. I was kind of sick of being in this rut in the UK. I thought it doesn't get better for business owners from this point. I only see one way, which is taxes increasing and regulation getting harder. And I thought, I'm 29 years old with no commitments. I'm going to move to Dubai. And it was that quick, I went in November to check it out. I told Brad when I was out there, I'm moving here. I dragged him out in January. We moved in March. It was quick. And we promoted two of the team members, gave them shares in the company in Distract because it's a bit more complicated thing to run. And we moved out there, set up our office, got residency, got bank account set up. We're there. We're permanently there. And it probably is the best decision of my life because I was at the point where I moved to Dubai to relax. I was like, I'm going to relax. I'm going to take my profit and just chill and travel to Bali, Thailand, Singapore, wherever I want to go and just experience life. I've worked hard. And I got there and I met this guy who, this is the thing with Dubai, right? There's a guy I met, a guy called Mithel. 3 years ago, he was on $300 a month in India, right? He's now a multimillionaire building a new crypto project, right? Dubai and the world, the global world, gives everybody a fair, to a point, playing field. He went from $300 a month of income to being worth multiple millions, right? And he's now in Dubai leveling up again. He's like, I'm going for 100 million. And that's the mindset. Everyone's there to level up. So being around those people, I was like, I'm going to go again. So now we're building out a AI lead gen tool because there's so many nerds out there, right? They're just like, everyone wants to get part of the next big thing. So we're building that out. I'm still running Distract. Steph and Hannah are running it in the UK, but then Brad is kind of building out these new projects and we'll roll them out. So we've got a lot on, but it's like a new sense of life. Do you know what I mean? Like I said it on my pod, like it's about picking up your like, what they call like the snow globes. Do you know what I mean? Just shaking it and then see where it all lands.
Podcast actually.
Yeah. So that's kind of like my thesis. And I think many people should be doing that.
Yeah. And do you think, because I think I saw a post I don't know if I saw a post on your LinkedIn or Instagram or something, or it was on that podcast, but you said about people's perceptions of Dubai being a lot different to how you actually experience it. So I've been to Dubai when I was, I don't know, probably 14, 15.
Oh, I think it was a while ago, no?
Yeah.
I think a lot of things changed there.
That's the thing, right? So when I speak to a lot of people about Dubai, and Dubai's a great place. I actually feel like I'm always becoming like a brand advocate these days because I get asked all the time, like, can you drink there? Yes. Can women drive? Yes. Like these are all things that probably weren't allowed, many, many years ago. But now they're all fine. You see, UAE and Dubai as a whole realizes that the world is expanding at a rate where globalization is happening. The thing that COVID did was it made everybody realize in the world that your location didn't actually matter, unless you were something like, even teachers. I mean, you can still do it online, right? But it made everyone realize that your location didn't matter. So this opens up the controversial point, which is if your location does not matter, then governments should be competing for your location. That is the reality of it. So by being in the UK, I was by default agreeing with the trade that I was making with the government. And the trade was 25% corp tax, capital gains tax, inheritance tax, income tax, VAT, in exchange for what? In exchange for the NHS, fine, cool. And that's about it, right? That's genuinely what you're in the exchange for. Now, my health insurance in Dubai cost me £200 a month. So was I paying more than £200 a month for my healthcare in the UK? Yeah, I was. So when you do the calculation, which I didn't do this, I just got annoyed they were increasing corporate tax and thought, fuck it, I'm gone. But if you actually did the maths of the exchange, that is a bad deal for anybody who's trying to drive forward in life. Genuinely bad deal. So we're in a point where we have these governments that should be competing for our location. And you can make the decision based on that of where you think you're best fitted. Now, I can do it online fully. So cool, I can live anywhere in the world. Brilliant, tick that box. Now, which country aligns with what I want to spend and what I want to receive? I chose Dubai.
Yeah, I thought you were batshit crazy the first time you mentioned it, to be honest. You said, I think we were at an event at the showroom, and you were like, right, I'm going to leave. You're like, I'm not going to be here this time next year. I was like, shut the fuck up, man. And then you weren't. And I was like, okay, fair play. And I'm starting to understand why. Obviously, for me as a bootstrap startup where, like you said, all my cash is still in the business and just trying to push that on, tax isn't a huge issue for me, but I can see how, when you multiply that by multiple businesses that are doing better than ours, how corporate tax would be. It's that. Destruction. Because, like, for instance, I bought so much stuff to try and, minimize the corp tax I was going to pay last year, and it was still $5,000 or something. And that was when I'd literally bought everything I could. I'd gone like right down to the wire, and I was like, right, what am I going to need in the next few months? Even like paying freelancers up front and stuff like that. I shoved thousands into my pension, and then I still had a $5,000 corp tax bill. And I was like, that's someone's wage to come and help drive the business on, like part-time, for instance, like 2 days a week for 6 months.
There needs to be a complete overhaul with the tax system in the UK. And I would start it by saying there is zero corp tax to pay for the first 100K profit.
Yeah.
That's where I'd be, because the thing that people forget is, and I've got a lot of friends who are like, we should tax businesses. They don't understand it. Yeah. When you take money out of my business, I cannot increase the salary for that individual. I cannot invest in that new technology. I cannot start that new business. And I got to a point, and it was kind of peak. I want to leave this country was when I said to my accountant, she goes, right, because I've always invested in companies. Like I've invested on SEIS. Have you heard of SEIS? I've spent thousands on SEIS investments to try and reduce my tax. We probably owned at peak 7 companies. We've sold a few. We've done a bits and bobs, but we've 7 companies at peak. So my accountant was like, right, Pete, Brad, what you starting next? And I was like, I can't be bothered. I was like, I can't be bothered to make another company that if works, I pay a load of money in taxes, and if fails, I lose. I just don't want to do that. So it misaligns when you overtax. It misaligns the entrepreneur upside versus the government upside. So there needs to be a full. I cannot describe how many things in the UK have failed, and how many things need a complete shake-up. And I genuinely don't want to sit here and be like, the UK is over. I genuinely look here and go, I don't see a way to turn this around without drastic action. Like drastic. I had a guy on my podcast, Daniel Priestley. He said, he was talking about the pension and how the UK and American pension is over. It's finished. By the time we go to retirement age, there will be no more pension. And he was saying how we should be investing, the government, so you're putting $3,000 when you're born into a tracker, some sort of a tracker thing. So by the time you're 83, it'll match inflation and grow, and you'll be able to have a pension. But these are conversations that aren't even being had. The only conversation is, right, corporate tax at 25%. It's just like, well, now you get nothing, mate. So goodbye.
Yeah, and I think it's a huge stunter for small businesses, for sure.
Well, you
can do so much with such a little amount of money.
You'll be sweating your ass off for the next client and working all hours to try and get that person employed. And I just felt like I had done that for 12 years, let's say. You have sleepless nights. You want to employ that person, but you know if it's the right idea. You can't make this payment, or you can, and you got to scrape it by. And then you get you constantly look on your right shoulder, and they're just there with their hands out. And I've never had any support from the government. They've never helped me once. So then to sit there and be like 25% plus your income tax, plus your capital gains tax, it just felt like a bad deal. And I sit there and just think the Western world is going to have a huge problem in its hands when it realizes that we are living in a global society where more modern thinking countries know that it's a global society, and they will do things to bring the best talent in the world. So a really cool thing to look at is BRICS. So if we look at India right now, which is the biggest population in the world, I think it's 1.6 billion. Those guys work like machines. Yeah, some of the greatest entrepreneurs I know are Indian guys, and they know what it's like to be poor. Let's be real. They know what it's like to live on $300 a month. And now they're running some of those successful businesses on the planet. You look at the chart, Indian CEOs. They're the biggest. They have some of the biggest brands in the world that you ever. Indian CEOs, and they've got 1.6 billion people on their planet. Which, and when you have a big population, you can do big things. But they've got a problem in their hands as well, because Dubai is a 2-hour flight from India. So UAE sits there and goes, it's going to be 5% corporate tax on mainland, but basically 0% because of the ways around it. So you've got 0% tax, 0% income tax, 0% capital gains tax, lovely weather, right? Well connected to the whole of Southeast Asia, which if you ask anyone in the UK where they want to go visit, they'll say Southeast Asia. And it's a 2-hour flight away for Indian. So if you're one of the best Indian employees, you're driven, you're focused, you're great at your job, you don't think someone in the UAE is going to offer you a job. So India's got a whole problem in its hands, which is like great location, great individuals, but they're going to get a brain drain to the UAE. They're going to get a brain drain to Saudi Arabia. So there's a whole thing about if you do not get your core basic economics right as a nation, you lose talent. Even if you're India with 1.6 billion, you're still affected by this. So I think what's going to happen is the West in the next 10 years will have to reform tax policy at a level you've never seen before. Otherwise, everyone leaves.
So for an average Joe, how much does it cost to pack up and bugger off to Dubai?
To get a residency visa, which is what you basically need. So you set up a company and you do some blood tests, whatever. You're in for like £2,500 to become a resident in Dubai, give or take a little bit.
It's a few UK citizens.
Yeah, I don't know from other things. That's for me, right? $2,500 is around that. Then when you get there, the cost of living, food, about the same as the UK. I've been sitting in Dubai supermarkets going, that's expensive. Came back here, I said the same thing here, and I realized actually it's just the price now, right? About the same for food, groceries and stuff. Rent is a bit more expensive, but there are places you don't have to live in like the center of London. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So there are places you can live. I would probably say it's the same price as the UK if you didn't live in London, central London, right? So if you live in Nottingham, you're gonna be paying, I don't know, just over £1,000 a month probably for rent anyway, right? Same principle if you're on the outskirts of Dubai, right? So I think rent's about the same. The problem with Dubai is there's so much to do. So you can spend money really easily on, I'll go for food, right? I'll get some shisha. I'll go skiing. I'll fly to Bali, right? So that's the problem with Dubai is your money goes on doing things. And I said to my dad and to my friends, I was like, yeah, but so I came back to the UK for my mate's 30th birthday, and then I've been in hospital twice, right? Since I've been to Dubai. Great system, by the way. I went diving and got some like water or something shit in my ear or something. So that was sorted. And then I went to Thailand and got food poisoning, right? So I've been in hospitals. And they said to me, you've been in hospitals loads since you've been away. I said, yeah, because I've lived more in 6 months than I have in 6 years, right? And that's kind of like my principle on this is like, if you are knee deep in startup land, I would say don't go, because I genuinely think the good thing for me is I don't need to make money when I'm there. I can still make money in the UK. So I don't have to worry about paying rent. You see a lot of people out there they need to make rent. Do you know what I mean? It's stressful because everyone's there working hard. So I'll say if you start land, no. But if you're medium entity and you think you can run your company remotely, then I would say it's probably a pretty good move, to be honest. In 2-3 years, don't like it, you come back. I got a guy who's come out, he's a teacher, just flown out. As soon as I left, he came in. I've known him for years. He's a teacher out there now. And he said, great pay rise, no tax, great son. He said, if I don't like it, I go home. And when you think of things that raw, if I don't like it, I just fly home. The school gives you a 2-way flight. So
yeah, that's an option. I think it's really like applying for UK people and especially wealthy UK people who paying a lot. Because I know some people who salaries even like more than 100K and how much they pay in taxes. So they actually get like, I don't know, 60, maybe like 70 if they get lucky as tax refunds. And I'm generally surprised how much even I'm paying for like little stuff in comparison like many places I live. It's just a lot for some things, what I don't understand even some payments what for.
Don't get him started on fucking council tax again, Pete.
But it's wild, right? So I lived, when I was in Lincoln, I had an apartment where everything was paid for, like you paid a service charge, right, for everything.
Yeah.
But you're still paying these fees. I don't even use this service. I don't get my bins collected. I have to pay someone. In the UC, we'll pay someone to go. So like, there's just so much nonsense. And I heard on the news. I don't listen to the news at all in Dubai, but I listened to the news when I was driving today. And like the green bin is costing £80 a year or something, like in some part of the country.
You're gonna get him going in a minute about council tax.
Do you know what I said? So I said to my dad, I said, don't get the green bin.
Don't start him.
No, I'll start him.
Don't start him.
So if someone wants to recycle and be good for the planet and get their core B thing, right? Yeah. They want they need to get an 80 quid bin, right? Or if you're like me and you go, no, I'm just gonna think about it from a business perspective. I get another black bin and I just shove it in there, and guess what? You lose. I
didn't know you can just have a black bin.
Do what you want.
Can I have a black bin only?
You can pay £15 for extra
throw it in
black
the river.
But this is the point. This is why it's so backwards, right? Is that everyone wants to do good. I want to recycle. Why are you charging me 80 quid for a green bin and £15 for a black bin?
I think we speak with Ed about that, and there's one topic about it was that if government not force people, they would never do it because of that reason. Because if you give right to choose if you want to recycle or not, and you will able to not recycle, probably most of the people won't.
Disagree.
Why not?
Because so it all comes down to education and the reason you do things, right? So let's go to the vaccine, right? So the vaccine everyone had the ability to decide whether they wanted it or didn't want it, right? And they educated people through media to make this and to take it. And there was 70% uptake in the UK. So they didn't force it on people. You didn't have to do it, but they educated into a way. Now you can say right or wrongly how they educated you, and I won't go down that debate. But the point was, you could say no. Most people said yes. Now it's the same with recycling.
But then you're not allowed with a lot of stuff. Like you can go in places, you can travel.
Don't get me started on the vaccine. In terms of the environment, let's not even bother, because that is.
Let's have a fight. Vaccine.
Vaccine
brainwashing versus council tax.
Look,
who would win in the fight?
If you look back at the data, and I won't get into it, most people regret their choices.
Yeah, I mean,
let's not go
I
into
was
it.
fine. Yeah. No, let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's get cancelled.
Cancel Pete.
I didn't have any because. This was no rule for us in our country.
You not have a single one?
No, because there was.
I've been sat next to you this whole time.
And then, because I was.
He's all right. He's alive. He's kicking.
Because I was work remotely, mostly, and all COVID I passed on remote work. It was fine, and I didn't have to because travels was not available really, and I was just not bothered. And then it's over, and I'm like, okay.
I don't. We can't go down this topic. No, we can't because your YouTube channel is going to get flagged so hard.
It's fine.
No, it's not happening. I refused. We have to go online. What's it called? Rumble. If we continue this topic of conversation, so we are swervely passing the vaccine debate back onto the environmental issues at hand. And look, if you educate people enough, they'll make an informed decision. Right or wrong, they make an informed decision. The thing with the climate and the environmentalists is it just means if you think genuinely after all the education all the ramming down your throat that we need to recycle, that people are making a decision, it's because A, your argument is not convincing enough, or B, you haven't explained it properly.
No, I'm recycling.
No,
I don't. I'm in central Dubai. I haven't seen a recycle point.
Yeah, it just gets burnt. But in the desert, I think I've touched on this in a couple of podcasts over the last probably month. But I feel like it should come from top down. So the government should make you recycle.
I disagree.
I think they should make...
But why? To what end?
Because if they really want people to recycle...
But why?
What do you mean?
Why the government want?
I ask why to everything people ever say, right? So if you go, why should they force you? What's next?
Yeah, but I feel... Okay, so for instance... When we had Ed on talking about business sustainability and things like that, and we had the general conversation of should businesses be more sustainable, and I feel like we have more. It's great what Ed does. I'm fully supportive of it, but if the government wanted businesses to be more sustainable, they should force us to be more sustainable.
So,
because it's like what you said, where are you going to spend your money?
Well, yeah,
you're going to spend your money on what you want. You're going to save your money.
You all missed. I love this. I love this. I like being romantic. Yeah. I love falling in love. Right. But
and you got a thing for me. You feel something.
When I saw that jacket, I saw that
Let's take it
up
off.
the stairs. Wow. My eyes glistened. No. Look, you said at the start, I'm happy. I'm happy to do the Corp B stuff. I'm calling it wrong on purpose, right? I'm happy to do the Corp B stuff, right? But in reality, I need to make money first. Yeah? If the government started whacking in, right, you got to be environmentally, and you're like, I'm paying my fucking tax bill. I'm paying my income tax bill. I can't afford that new laptop I need. I can't afford this. They want me to now invest in having a plant in every room to reduce the carbon emissions or whatever, right? You just know. The world has always worked best when you have rough guidance and you let people do what they need to do, right? And obviously someone's going to go murder someone, you lock them away. But like, you let society run. Most people are good people. Right? Most people want what's best for the world. They're happy to recycle if they can. If there's a recycling bin, I'll put it in the recycling bin. I walk downtown with a plastic bottle, right? I'm not going up to the bin and going, let's go to the black bin.
Your plastic bottle's already melted by the time you've walked it down the street because it's so fucking hot in Dubai.
I'm putting it in the recycling bin. This is my point. People are willing to recycle, right? I don't need to be forced. If there's a plastic bin, I'll put it in the plastic bin. What I don't want to do is pay £75 for a green bin and £15 for an extra black bin. That doesn't work in a society that is struggling to get by right now. And the UK is struggling to get by right now. You know, inflation is rampant. 15% food inflation is insane. Jeremy Hunt is clueless. Like he did a speech yesterday or the day before, I saw it on Twitter, or should I say X, and he said, he went, I'm going to bring inflation down to 5%, which means there's 5 pence more in your pocket for every pound. It's not how inflation works. Right? We have absolute clowns running the show, and and I sit there, and this is the thing I've always been told is whenever you want to do something, you look at the leader. So you want to work for a company, look at who's leading the company and be around them and learn from them, right? And if you're looking at a country, you look at the leaders. Who is leading the battle? Do I go for the guy who clearly doesn't understand inflation, or the guy that didn't win even a party election to run the company? Now, let's be real, right? Rishi Sunak didn't win anything to become Prime Minister. He didn't win the party vote. He didn't win the nomination from the members, and he's now Prime Minister from nobody voting for this guy. This guy's a clown, right? Fishy Rishi, I call him, he's a clown. So we've got these jokers running the country who just go, oh, we're going to do corp tax 25%. I go, all right, mate, see you later. How many other people did that? I don't know. Let's be real. And I go to the guy that has created a nation in 20 years. From nothing. From a desert. From a sandbox. They only found water, I think, in like the mid-1900s, right? 20 years. So do I spend 5 years there and go, oh, see what this is about? This is all right. Or do I stay in with Fishy Rishi? And I know my answer. I came on here to be I came here to be politically correct, and we've talked about vaccines, the environmentalist, Corp B, and Fishy Rishi.
C Corps. What do you reckon, Ed?
Well, it's completely different perspective because I understand what you're saying.
If Ed says anything bad about the UK, gets deported.
Well, yes, I'm not going to comment on the.
I really
UK
like it
government,
here.
But,
it's great.
Boris was fine because he let me in. Thanks him for that.
The UK is a great country.
No, UK. I am agree that UK is a great country. It's a great country to be poor in. When you come with nothing, this is a great country to be. There's a lot of support, and this is probably first time in my life when I was feel that if something happened, like if I get disabled or something, I'm not gonna end up on the street. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we don't have that support. We don't have that like national insurance and somebody gonna give you place for live or some money just because you citizen. You don't have it. You have to fight for it. Like since like 16, you need to go work. You paying all your taxes. There's no like tax refund. There are, but you can't really get because everything will be not tax refundable after all. And there's a lot of things not working in our country, even when it exists. And for me, it was really great experience for last year to see how things work when they're supposed to work. In a way, I mean, like if something written by law, you can be sure will work, or you can fight for it and you'll probably win in a court something.
The UK legal system is probably the best in the world.
The only thing probably I'm not feel safe in a prospect of the police, because I think I feel like they have no rights at some points.
Yeah, I mean,
I think in general here the police are okay, but I don't know if that's because
No, but I think you're looking at it from different angles. You're saying the police are okay as in they're not going to hurt you. You're saying you don't feel safe because you get robbed at any minute, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm walking on the
right.
street and I'm thinking like, if something get to my house and I call police,
Nothing
they will arrive or no?
Yeah.
Well, I read the stat that was about, I think it was last year, there was 20 phone thefts a day in London. And there's now 10 a day, and they're saying it's a success. But in reality, because they weren't reporting them. People don't report them anymore. If your phone's stolen, you don't report it. There's no point.
Yeah, well, we have the same. People not report to police, but then same time, if police get the call, they beat you up probably, really in really bad way. And this is work both ways, because you can be beat up just for nothing. It's changed in last years, but just before the war. But before it was really bad. So like, so I don't know if you're much familiar with the history of the like Eastern Europe. So in Ukraine, we have 90s was really criminal times, and rule in country was mostly by criminals, and most of the criminals, they become like in government and police. And then we have 2000s, where about 10 years these people was ruling the country and their law same time.
So I was looking at this actually yesterday about Moldova and how it was part of the USSR, and it ran, right. It had tourism, like and then it got handed back over to be like a democratic nation, and it's been absolutely like pilgrimed. Like there's nothing left. Like there's just full on people like living on the streets. Like there's nothing been built. Like all the big hotels that are built for tourists are now empty. So like it all comes down to leadership.
Yeah, and it for us like 30 years it took to just make system where we can choose president, not what was assigned. And it's still like, even now, if not war, probably we'll have another president already, because people was not happy.
My opinion is that I don't think that leaders have long enough, which goes both ways. Like, is it 4 years in the UK or something like that? It's something 4 or 5, I don't know which one it is. But how can you do anything in 4 years, right? So we're looking right now at this school crisis that's currently happening of these buildings falling down. First of all, I have no idea what's been brought up randomly out of the blue, because we've got a position where the last issue was 2018 and all of a sudden it's now a thing. And I think it's because they're probably covering up or something else.
Kids wanted a day off.
Yeah, I mean, they could have had a day off in 2019 or 2020 or 2021 when it's happening. But anyway,
they had time off in 2020,
plenty of
so
time.
it's fine.
Plenty of time. Oh, look at that, free money. Anyway, so we're in a position
Get free money.
Yeah, and then it was like, oh, why is inflation happening? It's like, bro, you got £50,000 like for free, and you're saying that, and now I can't buy cornflakes. You should have probably saved 50 grand. Like, I don't know, it's just wild. I had friends being like, oh, the government's handing out 100 grand, and then they're now saying that inflation's happening. I'm like, well, you got literally billions handed out on a plate.
Money.
They literally printed it. I bought Bitcoin. You didn't.
Yeah.
You know what we get during the COVID? Nothing.
But have you seen what's happening in is it Maui in Hawaii?
Yeah,
the
fire.
$700 for losing your house.
Yeah, but this is the first support. They will get more. They get a little more.
Only because of the pressure from...
Yeah, sure.
You know...
I read a joke about it that Biden just read that when he get report about Hawaii, he read it as a Huawei, and Huawei is under sanctions, so he can help it.
Huawei?
Well, yeah.
Every government leader in the West is an idiot. That's the middle end. Like, we just need more entrepreneurial people, right? And we need longer term. So if you...
They're too old.
They're too old, man. Like, imagine...
So, I like Biden. You know, I'm kind of obsessing at the minute. I want to get some Ray-Ban aviators.
Just sit there.
Just to be like Joe.
If you just got some Ray-Bans on and just didn't talk, you'd be about right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want them.
It's not like... I don't know. It's really, really weird how... He don't understand like what happening around and how he controls the biggest country.
He's incompetent, and he should be. He should be, but he won't. And this is the reason all this crap has kicked off in the world, because there's a guy that just doesn't even know his name.
I think if Trump was still here,
Russia Ukraine wouldn't happen.
I couldn't see it.
Wouldn't happen
because Trump's mental.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? You want if there's two crazy people in a room, they shake hands. They shake hands. There's one crazy and one loser. The loser's done for. Yeah, and that's what. You need two crazies in a room. If you have one crazy, it's over.
What about in this room? 3 crazies.
3 crazies. Yeah. Even itself out.
Yeah, I can add about Putin something. So like, because I understand what he's saying, you know, and the reason why I think Putin look so serious, and I wrote like in Twitter a lot that some of the English-speaking countries are support him and like him, and I was thinking like, you are the clowns as well, because this is like, if you just translate what he say, you will see that it's exactly like Biden. This is like 70-plus-year-old man who just don't understand what he's saying. There's like so many things he's saying is wrong. funny because it just have no sense. But the way how the press put his image in, and they just not let like any footage of where he fall or something appear.
I take everything that I ever see or read now as just like I need to fact check it myself.
Yeah,
because everybody's got an agenda. I don't know what the agenda is, but everyone's got an agenda. You know, it could be Ed trying to flog his seeds, so he wants to tell me that the environment's going to fall down tomorrow. It could be someone trying to force a vaccine. Right? Either way, there's an agenda, right? And it's you've got to do the research yourself to figure it out. I don't know, like if it was me and I was Charles, I would probably King Charles. That is not my dad, King Charles.
Charles Bronson.
Yeah, Charles Bronson. I mean, you know, if I was him, I generally would be. Well, he probably can't do anything to be honest, but I would be looking at extending the term to 10 years. I don't think you can do anything in 4 years. Like you come in, you go right, and this is what I would do. I'm Prime Minister right now. I come in and I go right. What's going to be a problem for me in 4 years? Right. So you're not looking at things like schools falling down because they've been a problem since since like 2018. So what's going to be a problem? Right, it's going to be this and be this. So you go, cool, we'll deal with this, and then I'm out of it. And then you can go, well, my term was good, but then the next guy's got to pick up your mess of buildings falling down.
But what if you're not good?
Well, there needs to be a way to get you out, obviously. But like, I just think longer terms, like if you look at anybody that's building, like, and countries should be run like companies. You know, you should be looking after your staff. You should be attracting better quality people. You know, like, you know, I'm all for a border system that allows people who are good to come here and work and add value. You know, I don't think this whole thing about closing the border off is a bad idea, but the whole thing of an open is a bad idea, right? There's definitely a blend of having a system that allows the best people into the country so the country can prosper. The country will only grow and be better with better people. And if you're kicking them out because taxes are too high, or you're not letting them in because of whatever reason, like you're gonna lose. Like you're gonna lose to the country that's next to you. And there's this stupid ideology that you can't leave.
And you can have 2 terms in UK as a prime minister.
I think you stay forever, can't you?
Unlimited, I think. Well, I think that's. No, I'm not.
So if somebody good, he can potentially be.
Yeah, but they're never good, right? So they're not. I guess this is the problem, because if they came out and said you need to have a 10-year vision, so all they're doing is trying to win the next election. So if, for example, I was prime minister and I said, right, the corporation tax is going to go down to 0%. Then you'd have a lot of people going, oh, we're not taxing businesses enough. Oh, get him out the next election. The next person comes in and increases it again. Whereas if he had a 10, 20-year vision about, I'm going to be in charge of 20 years, I can make a decision now which will actually be beneficial for us in 5 or 6. You know, you can actually plan. You can't plan by being. So all you can do to win is do populist statements. This is why they have sentiment checks on every single Twitter post. So you replying negatively on a Twitter post is a good thing, because what it basically means is that their social media team will get a sentiment check and be like, most of the population are on Twitter do not like this statement, or they'll do a poll and be like, you know, most people want to give money to Ukraine or whatever, or most people want the vaccine, whatever it is. And the government will get this data and go, cool, our policy should be this, and this based on the sentiment. So they're only doing things that is going to get them re-elected, right? And that is the populist thing to do is not always the most beneficial thing to do over a long period of time. You know, so, you know, that's for me, the problem is that we are running a nation based on winning the next election rather than being the best nation we can be. We used to be the reserve currency of the world before World War II. It wasn't the dollar, it was the pound. You know, we had all these great connections across the world, and now we are literally an island.
Didn't we steal the world before World War II, though?
As I said to my many Indian friends now, I said that we gave it back, right?
We borrowed it. We borrowed the world, drew some straight lines of it, fucked it up.
At least you were good sailors.
Yeah.
It's something
this
to
is
be
what I'm saying.
proud.
Like, how do you go from having these amazing connections around the world to now having homelessness at a crazy level and having inflation at 15% for food? Like, that's just bad management. That's just bad management. You know, imagine getting the winning hand. Like, it was a winning hand. In the 1900s, you had the winning hand. And over the course of 100 years, you're going to be, like, in number 20, you're gone.
Where do you think when things changed? What was the...
Well, there's many things, isn't there? Probably the removal of the gold standard in 1972 or something. There was
maybe more recent.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, if you look at the cost of living issue, it's been I looked at the data from, I think it was like 1930s or something to now. Wage level to inflation has been exactly the same. So as in, like, I saw on Twitter, it's like, it's here to here. Over like 80 years, the amount you've earned is exactly the same. The only difference is inflation. So it's, you know, rather than being £1,000 a year or whatever, it's now, I mean, £38,000 a year. But with inflation, it's the same number. So that's been the same, but assets have risen dramatically, right? So we have this level of disparity between people whose salary has not changed, but the assets have increased massively. Look at places like Thailand and Bali. If you want to buy a place in Thailand and Bali, you have to be a resident. You have to be a citizen, sorry, right? Why are they doing that? Well, locals can come in, they can invest in the area, a 25-year lease for a property, but at the end of the day, that property is owned by a local. So they get the level up too.
They have same with the businesses. If you register a company, one of the founders, shareholders should be local.
There we go. So I just think that everything is wrong. And I think it's one of those things where there is so much that has to be done and it has to be planned so well, you cannot do it in 4-year cycles. So what happens next? I honestly don't know. I think probably what happens in the next 10 to 20 years, probably more 20 years, is the quality of life. So have you read about the statistics show right now that we should be in a bigger level of depression than is it the Great Depression or something? Right, to map it out, we're living in what's called the silent depression in the UK right now, because the quality of life on parallel to back then is worse than that point. So it's a complete mess and it needs real control, but you cannot sort it in 4 years. You can probably sort it in 20. So what happens? I think we have a continued decline for the next 10, 15, 20 years. I think the best businesses and the best world leaders and the best entrepreneurs leave because they can still sell in the UK and live in Dubai. They can still have staff in the UK and live in Thailand.
And it's almost impossible to some company to get into UK as well. There's no really like legal program if you not spend like £1 million or something to get here and start a business. There's no programs. There's no visas for it. There's no like entrepreneur's visa. They have like startup, but then you need approved by ventures, and it's making it.
The UAE system for getting residency should be rolled out probably globally. It is incredible. If there is a skill that we want, you can get a visa, and you have to pay for it, or the company pays for it. If you don't do that job, you either have to reapply for a visa in another industry, or you go home. There's only one way up. There's only upside. Is the only upside for the country. There's no downside for the country. And because of that, you get the best talent from all over the world. And that's literally what the UK needs right now. But then if they do come over here, you finally go through the hurdles, you get your visa, you set your company, and they go, cool, come in 25%, please. And it's like, well, I've made £1, mate. I made £1. And you've got to give them 19% on the first, whatever it is. So you've got to give them £19. I've only made £1, mate. Like, don't it? Wild. And then you want to take that. You made your £100. Your first year's been tough. You've been sweating it out. You made £100. Government, £19. VAT. Now I want an income, or whatever the percentage will be. Now I'm going to invest it in capital gains. You fucked, mate. It's just. But this is the backbone of the global problem in the West. Now I'm not saying the East is right. I'm not saying the East has got it perfect. But the stats don't lie, right? The migration to places like the UAE and Saudi for entrepreneurs is insane. The venture funds that are moving there, the things that are getting built. I had a meeting with a client this morning in the UK, and I'm talking about AI. They barely knew about it. Whereas in the UAE, there's like every corner you go around, there's someone building something with AI. We're building this system now in the UAE, which is it pulls AI data, pulls email data, blends it both together to generate leads, and it's fully AI and automatic. I don't know anyone building that stuff over here, but UAE is every corner. Any co-working space will be someone building something. And as a brand, you've got to build it. You're going to build a nation that attracts those individuals.
Let's fill out the cancellation bingo card. What do you reckon about Brexit?
I think that the European Union was the UK could say they didn't want to do anything, as in they could veto, right? But at the end of the day, the peer pressure of the other nations was a big deal. So like, UK could sit and go, I don't want this to happen. But then you got everyone looking at you and be like, bro, what are you doing? Please wave it through. The aims were misaligned, I think, with Brexit. So look, I couldn't give two shits. I'll be real. Brexit, no Brexit, don't mind. I think probably the better move is probably Brexit. If you think about it from a globalization and competitive advantage standpoint, you can do literally anything now. You literally can do anything now. Before you couldn't. Don't matter what anyone says, you couldn't do everything. Now you can. The problem with Brexit for the UK now is that the government hasn't done anything. So like, imagine giving yourself like the keys to you bought a business, you've been given a business, right? The lawyers and the management board that would always be there have gone, don't worry, mate, it's all down to you now, right? I don't know, fine, okay, I've got to do something. You bring a team to manage the thing and you go, don't change anything, keep it as it was. Like, so there was a pros and the cons list to Brexit. We all knew what the pros and cons lists were, right? All of the cons have been enacted because the con list was pretty simple, right? But the pro list, they haven't even started. The pro list was you do what you want, you can change taxes, you can change laws, you can control your own board. All the pro list, they haven't even started. So, like Brexit as it is now doesn't work. But if you gave Brexit or, to a leader that understood what they could do and create a competitive advantage, then I think it'd probably be good for the country, right? So, it's a middle grade answer, but I think Brexit done right makes sense. It's not been done right.
Yeah, I think COVID probably didn't help. Probably came at the worst time for Brexit, didn't it?
Well, don't forget the benefit of not being in the European Union right now is that basically half of the European Union is going to default. So, France is struggling. So France, in Africa has got. We can go into France, Africa if you want to get really political, but like France has had Africa as a prisoner for many, many years. I mean, and Africa's now waking up to the reality, and that's going to cause probably a war in Africa, which you don't want to get into. But France are failing. Germany car sales are down. If car sales go down, Germany defaults. Then if Germany and France struggle, then who's going to pay for it? So the euro will be printed, and then you're into this whole deflation of currency to save the smaller nations in the EU. So I don't know. I think it's probably a good idea if we're going to go into this recessionary period. We call it a hard bottom where just bang. It's, there's going to be a big sharp drop. If there's a hard bottom, then you don't want to be in the European Union, in my opinion. We have our own currency, which is good. We can control our kind of a monetary policy and fiscal policy, but I think we're better out of it right now, but only if we had leaders that had fucking balls, man. Like I just don't understand it. It's like they come into something and they do nothing, and then the country falls around and they go, oh, not under my watch. Well, it was, mate, because the last 20 people are all to blame.
Do you think it's how to say it right? Do you think people make these leaders like that on their opinion and how they act?
What do you mean?
Like, I realize in UK, people are very nice to each other. They not really say something radical if they think. And I think that's what brings in these leaders to
I know what you're saying, but it's the same in France. Like they'd get their yellow vests out and they'd stamp a parade around the street and then they still vote Macron in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, I know exactly what you're saying. We are overly polite in this nation, but it's the same, the whole Western world. Like, look at Biden. Like, it's all the same stuff. Like, Trump, right? He stands there and goes, I will fix America. Bro, you had 4 or 5 years and you didn't. So, like, you also got a good chat. Like, this is the thing. Like, it's all words and no action. So this is why I've decided, like, I just look at actions. Well, this guy had a desert and he turned to a decent country. I'll probably hang out there for a little bit, So it's that is, for me, the epitome of it all.
What do you think is going to happen with Trump? I could genuinely see, right, if he doesn't go to prison before the election, I could see him winning it.
Have you seen Vivek, though? Yeah, so this guy, Vivek, something with R, a long name. It's a guy from South India, and he's a Republican candidate, and he sounds very good.
No, yeah, I might have seen.
Yeah, he sounds
like just behind DeSantis or something. And
I think if he's not, is he behind Trump now?
Is he in Texas?
I don't know where he is, but no, he's never been anything. I don't think. I think he's the entrepreneur. Like, he was in bioscience. I think he's worth a couple of billion. Vivek, because of R, I think his name, but he is doing really well in the polls, and he's coming across really, really well. But I think he's Trump's biggest threat. Have you got him?
Is it Ram?
Yeah, him.
Ramaswamy.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm on Joe Rogan podcast now. Okay, can you pull that up? Can you pull that up?
Yeah, him. So he seems, he's Trump's biggest threat for sure. He's more of a threat, in my opinion, than Trump's jail term. Trump won't go to jail.
It's more of a threat to Trump than Trump.
Yeah. So he's the biggest threat for Trump. And then Biden, I mean, if he stands again, we know which way it's going. He's absolutely clueless.
Do you think he's just kind of?
Have you seen the earlobe thing? Have you seen the earlobe thing?
No, what's that?
So people are convinced that Biden has multiple stand-ins, and he barely turns to anything, and they can tell from his earlobes, because earlobes are very unique to an individual, and obviously it's something that you don't change when you're doing, like, when you get side acts and whatever. So yeah, there's a guy with an earlobe connection and a one without. So there's a rumor that Biden didn't even turn to most of his things. I mean, look, I love going into massive. When I say I fact check everything, bro, I go into the biggest rabbit holes of all time. I love it. I literally love it so much. I was looking at grounding the other day. Have you heard of grounding? So grounding is like we've been brought up like as apes and whatever through all of time, and we've always had like bare feet on the ground. And the studies, most crazy studies,
Barefooters.
yeah,
yeah,
it's the most
I read about that.
crazy study. Basically, like we have so much negative energy walking around. We get static from this, we get static from this, in the sun, negative thoughts, whatever. And the studies show that if you walk around barefoot for 30 minutes a day, like as in outside on concrete, grass, sand, beaches, it releases all of the negative energy. And there was a medical journal. So I get into medical journals. Like, I think it's called PubMed. It's like the medical journal. And it did a full study, right? There's this lady, for example, who had like this sore on her foot and she had it for 8 months. She barefooted for 30 minutes a day. Within the first week, it started healing. It's why, bro. It's called grounding. Yeah, it's called grounding. Wild.
So they have special shoes for barefoot, for running, for...
You're not supposed to wear any shoes.
Yeah, but they build a specific so you not like get cut your feet or something. Okay. So it's just really thin layer of what can be like cut or something, so you can run in it. But I think the only downside with the barefooters, what they saying from what I learned. So because we have like asphalt all over the roads, it's not work on the asphalt.
Oh, is it not?
Because it's flat. That's why we need shoes on the asphalt. But then if you do it, as you said, like 30 minutes a day, walking your dog on the grass, on the forest, like for a run, well, it's actually really helpful.
Yeah, it's research. It's wild. But there's things like earthing.
Have you ever seen the tattoo on my foot?
What is it?
A toilet doorman.
I thought you were say it's like a
You know when you go into a toilet.
Camel on your toe or something.
No, when you go to a toilet and you're like, oh, which one is my? Oh, that one.
Okay.
Got that on my foot.
I've no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just checking your gender.
The best tattoo you've ever seen.
It's just making sure he wants to know if he's still a guy.
I could walk around with that because I only got that because I was like, no one will ever see it. But now this study's come out.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
What are you talking about?
Well, have you got a man? It's just like literally a toilet doorman, just for everyone listening. It's a toilet doorman.
Yeah, I wasn't even drunk when I got it. I was drunk when I decided to get it. But then I went the day after.
At least you followed through.
Yeah, I think I was 16 when I got that.
Wow.
Some place in Lincoln down the high street.
Someone broke the law.
Did they tell you something like that you shouldn't do it or something?
No, he was like,
he was
£20.
He needed to stop. He needed to make his 60 quid. You know, he was like, I'll take it.
I'll take it.
The government wants 20. I don't know. But yeah, grounding, big thing. So, but look, I get into all these rabbit holes. Like, you see it on Twitter, you see it on the news, you see it from some guy in a pub or whatever. And then I literally go into like, right, I'm going to look at medical journals. And I'm just like straight into these like 1 a.m. in the morning. It's like no blue light. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool.
Ed, what do you think about Twitter and X? Because it was such a big brand. I see he clearly wanted an everything app when he bought Twitter so that he could bring out like a Western WeChat.
Now it's X Twitter.
No,
it just sounds cool both ways.
So, like,
I think
why?
So I
why?
Spend a lot of time in it, and I see how it's. Otherwise, if people say, "Oh, it's dying," "Oh, he's screwing up," I see how much things changed there, and there's now videos now, and they're good quality now. The feed changing, the recommendation changing. I really love the thing what they add. So they have like context.
Oh, the community notes.
Yeah, and it's really helping with
fake
ads
news and stuff. Yeah.
So if something like software have commercial, and I saw it say like this is software advertising is not real, not what you see on the picture. So it's really give for users a lot of. So you can be more sure. You can never be sure that it's true, but at least there's a review that and give you not just deleting it or block it. Actually give you context, what is it and what the situation is and what actually happening in the post.
I think X is the greatest purchases of all time. Like maybe not for the price he paid, but if you think what he's essentially done is you're right. He's going to turn it into the WeChat of the West. He's going to turn it into a bank. We already know he wants to create the X bank. We already know he's applied for the
crypto.
Yeah, the application to be able to hold money and hold crypto and sell crypto. Like it's all we can see like in the study what he's doing. And if you start from zero with these things, they're very hard to get off the ground because it's such a big beast. But if you start them with 700 million users, with the blink of the hand, you're now the biggest bank in the world, right? And people aren't giving him enough respect for that, in my opinion. He's gone from having a social network that he paid 45 billion for, well, he got ripped off, Elon Musk, to probably in 2 years will have the biggest bank in the world. And I rate that a lot. And then you go, cool, he's not going to ban anyone. He's got freedom of expression. He's got community notes to keep everyone in line. So you can't just say stupid stuff. You're going to get community noted. In Dubai, there's an app called Kareem, and Kareem is the everything app in Dubai. I can get a taxi, I can get my groceries, I can get a massage, I can file a police report, anything on this bloody app, right? Everything. And what do I have every single day? I use Kareem every single day. I use it all the time. So if I then have Twitter, they become just overnight almost dissolves into this everything app. Well, I'm not going to delete it. I'm going to use it. So I think that the only people that are negative on X are people that just don't like Elon Musk. Like, I just think that is literally the beginning, middle, end. Anyone who thinks what he's going to build, the WeChat of the West, is going to have everything on there. There'll be payments. So when I went to Thailand, obviously, if you're paying by card, the problem you have is there's a minimum fee. I think it's like 20p or something. Plus, I think it's a few percent, right? In Thailand and Bali, where the price of food is so cheap, they genuinely cannot afford the 20p plus the percentage. So they all have these essential wallets, which is what X will be, like an X wallet, where I have it and I pay you, and it just, there's no bank being changed, it's just a bit of software. Like, it's just like, almost like PayPal, right? It's just getting moved in the background. So in these places where the fees to transact is so high for the amount you're spending, you have to use these systems. So in the UK, in 10 years' time, if you, as a business, all you use a QR code.
You'll have it in Ukraine.
Yeah. So you have it and you just scan it and your money just transfers. There's no fees, 0 fees. You instantly become the biggest bank in the world.
What do you think about Twitter?
I don't use it.
I use it every single day, religiously, all the time.
I never have. I'm not really social personally. I watch a lot of YouTube. That's how I get my news and entertainment all in one. Never really had Twitter. I used to use Instagram kind of religiously when it first started being really big. So I spent my life on there, then got rid of it. So I'm not, all my friends know what I'm doing all the time because there's so few of them, which makes it really easy to communicate. So I don't really need to follow
You're like the most open and honest man I've ever met in my life. You know that?
Yeah.
You definitely overshare, for sure.
Yeah, well, I've got something on my ass I wanted you to take a look at after. But no, so I've never really been... I was into social media when I was a teenager. Then now, apart from, obviously, for work, for marketing, sure. But for personal, no one...
Yeah, there's a few people like... We had a guy called Tommy who worked for us for a good 6-7 years, then left to become a police officer.
Mate.
Yeah, not yeah. I took a police officer, which I told him at the time was probably the worst career move of his life. I saw him chasing a guy in the street, actually. But you could have had a cushy office job. And he just deleted all social media when he left. He was like, I'm not into social media anymore, don't want it anymore. But I think there's this big change happening, though, in reality. I think AI is huge, and it only gets bigger. And, things like community notes will be ran by artificial intelligence. Who controls artificial intelligence is going to be the biggest questions that are out there. So Elon's building his own AI system called XAI, which will be completely free. No one controls the narrative AI machine, which he's learning. So he's used Twitter to teach the AI. Which is really fucking fascinating because obviously everyone's writing things down. It goes into his XAI, and now he's got an AI module that can learn things when people tweet.
He's got a slightly depressed
and angry.
Oh, because OpenAI got a lot of its data from Twitter originally, which is kind of crazy. I think the biggest worry that everyone should have, both as an employee or an entrepreneur, is AI and how it is going to change their life forever. Like to the point of like, if you have a job that can be automated, like you should be concerned, like without scaring ego too much here. Like I have some software where you put in a video, YouTube URL, splices up all your videos. AI finds out the best cut points. It then subtitles it and then it spits it out.
I use it. You're not surprised.
Is it captions or something?
Yeah. It's not working well.
It won't work. Yeah, but it will. Right? In 2 or 3 years, this thing will be flawless. Right? So everybody, I think, has to build their business now in a mindset that AI is going to be able to do a lot of heavy lifting. Like to the point of like, have you heard of Fireflies?
Yeah. So
Fireflies, like you don't need a PA anymore. Like you don't need anyone in a meeting to take notes because this AI listens to the meeting. it writes the notes, it writes a summary, it gives you the content, it sends it to your CRM system. So I've done no note taking the whole meeting. So like all these things are just going to start happening. And I think there's going to be this point where there's going to be this like divide, and Daniel Priestley said it perfectly on my podcast. There's going to be this divide between people who own the things in the sky and people who have to do the things in the sky. And we're going to have this middle blankness. And I think if there isn't big revolutionary change from government, like we've discussed for the last hour, then I think that divide gets even bigger. And I think that's probably the biggest worry, is this middle world.
Yeah, I think the divide will be bigger. I think it's affecting a lot of your field probably more than mine.
I think there's a big divide now, though, right? It's wild.
Coding,
so.
quiz,
Like coding,
copywriting.
I think the
pictures.
Copywriting's an obvious one to go. But I think at the moment, for instance, ChatGPT can shove out text, but is it good for your brand? Is a completely different question. Is it going to help you sell? Is a completely separate question again. I think
copywriter help. Some of the copywriters.
I mean, the thing for me is like for our email outreach thing, it's like, yes, I can go out and I can do research on every individual we're sending an email to, or I can do a line of code and it can research the individual, custom generate the email and send it to 1,000 people, right? Whereas before, for me to do that would have taken, well, you wouldn't fucking do it, right? 1,000 people. So it's more, it's been humans supported by AI for a long time. And I think the next 10 years will be AI supported by humans.
Yeah,
so whoever can control the AI will do better.
Yeah, I think the people who have got the worst end of the stick, in my opinion, are illustrators with things like Mid-Journey. Because you think so you can learn to be a decent copywriter in 6 to 12 months and you still have, not an incredible top level copywriter, no, but you can learn how to do it well in 6 to 12 months. And moving on from that, you have other career opportunities, because if you can write well, then you can slide into all sorts of roles. If you're a fantastic artist and it's taken you 6 to 20 years to perfect your craft, and then all of a sudden you can go on and generate an image that would have taken you 30 to 50 hours, and had you paid, £500, £1,000, whatever it is, that's got to be difficult.
My mate who owns a business in Dubai, I said, "Oh, who's doing your designs?" Like he said, "All my designers are busy. They're building the software. They're designing the software." So I just use Mid-Journey for every social media post. Every social media post is Mid-Journey, and it's wild. Like I was playing with the idea, and if Daniel from LinkedIn listens to this, he's gonna hate me. But I was playing with the idea of like, how easy would it be to create a LinkedIn competitor, right? So Brad's built some software which can scan URLs of websites and then send the article into ChatGPT or whatever, rewrite an article, and then post on your website within a minute. And then it would use Mid-Journey to create the image. So we tested it and it worked. And you could literally type in, it would like Mid-Journey be like, let's say it's an article about traffic jams on, I don't know, or let's say it was a burglary on Lincoln High Street. You could then have it automatically go to Mid-Journey and be like, get me an image of a man standing outside a burgled shop on Lincoln High Street. It was fucking perfect. So AI has scraped the site, it's written the article, it's created the image, and it's posted to your website in 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's two ways that I've done similar things with articles. So, obviously the first one, ChatGPT, is an extension called APIRM. So if it's a Google Chrome extension, and then when you open ChatGPT, it loads in. There's a one-click, like basically you paste a URL in, and it literally rewrites it for you, like you said. But they also have other prompts and extensions. So you could say, you could give it a few different ones, or you could give it a keyword and a competitor's blog, and then it's writing something for that. The other one is an AI called Cognosis. I can't remember how you spell it. COG.
Doesn't matter.
Cognosis. But it's YS at the end. That's my favorite thing, because for that, then if you were doing news, you could say, find me stories to do with, I don't know, carjackings in Texas. And then it'll go and look on the internet for real news stories. It'll compile them, and then you could well, you tell it what to do. If you want to put like a digest together where it's condensing everything and pulling together themes, you could have it write them all in a document and then give you the document. But it's coming with everything's like referenced with links, so you can click your way through it manually and fact check it. It's great. I think that's the biggest downfall with ChatGPT is everyone knows it talks bollocks, and it can talk bollocks because it doesn't give you any links.
ChatGPT is great only if you give it good prompts and you know what you're talking about. So you have to like be able to, like, you can't be like, let's say for example, a marketer, and then you get ChatGPT to write you a marketing plan. Like, you still have to be a marketer to assess that plan is correct. Do you know what I mean? Like, you still need some ability. So I think that, but I think it only gets better from here. Like, it only improves.
Yeah, that's something Edgar was saying actually when it came out. He was like, look at where it is, and it's been out for a month.
Oh, bro.
And we were like, holy shit, yeah, it's only been out for a month.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, because I was struggling with language, struggling with a lot of stuff. So this is really helping me to communicate, to write emails, the stuff like Grammarly, helping me to write emails correctly, faster. Not necessarily that I wouldn't write it myself, but it took for me 30 minutes.
I mean, even me when my language is English, I still check I still write something and then check it in ChatGPT, like, please check this is okay grammar, and then put it back in.
Yeah, and for me, I'm using it all the time because it's really helping with a lot of stuff, to understand stuff, to read faster in search, to analyze some documents and read contracts even. So like every time I'm signing contract, I put it in ChatGPT and look for what is looking here like suspiciously or something should I pay attention. Cool. And it's like giving me like this point, like should consider to rewrite it or ask about it, like be aware about this.
That's cool.
So I'm sure lawyers should be really worried.
Well, most lawyers, and this is going to piss a lot of people off, they subscribe to a software, I can't remember what it's called now, where it gives you templated contracts. They pay a subscription service to it. I can't remember what it's called now.
There's a couple. Practical Law is a big one.
They subscribe, like, so it's a lot. It's not cheap. But then all they do is just customize the template. I mean, look, it's expected, right? They're not going to sit there and make you a whole new shares agreement every time. They're going to use a template. But most lawyers use templates and change them. So what's stopping you? I mean, I wouldn't advise this to anybody, not yet anyway. Getting the template and then getting ChatGPT to change it to the changes you want. So I don't know. There's a lot to change, and people's fees are going to be pulled down. This is what I'm talking about. Like the divide. The people who are doing well here with service levels, so say lawyers, are earning this salary. But if what we said happens, technically you don't need someone that good anymore. So they drop down a category. But the people that build the systems, they go up. So the people with their the templated contracts, they're up. They go up from middle to higher. People who are doing the work now go from middle to down. So it's like this is the divide that's happening that I think will change. But I think in more interesting, you should talk about your studio you're going to be creating.
Oh God. Well,
look at Edgar's face. He's like, are we?
Well, we had an offer to get another unit.
Can I just say that
basically,
I think I want to give people context. Yeah. So I walked into this room, this lovely room. You probably can't see much of it.
Remember back in the day when it was cold in here? Yeah. Isn't that nice?
A bit hot now. If you can see any sweat coming from any of our brows, it is hot in here. I walked in here, I said lovely setup, because it is a lovely setup. And in Dubai, I rent my podcast studio, and it's not expensive, but it's owned by a videographer company. And they charge you for the rental, then they charge you for the edit, then they charge you for the video edit, then they charge you for the micro content, they charge you for the social media posting. And I said, you boys should definitely do that. You should build out an office in here, maybe do a collaboration with the university so that you don't pay rent. You know, they get some of the rental fee or something. And you said you're already thinking of doing it. So when's it happening?
Next Tuesday.
Just register another company for it.
You can take it, bro.
I think you'd kill it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I think it's one of those that take a lot of time to implement.
Yeah, not only the podcast studio, combine anything, couple different, so use it for multiply reasons. The podcast can be one of the options, but the other one.
But I think if there's one empty, speak to Vicky and say to her, look, Vic, we'll give you half the room rental, and everyone in the building can get 50% off podcasts.
Well, we could speak to them. Well, it would be nice to have like a fixed background where all we need to do is drag the cameras.
But what they do in Dubai is they have multiple setups. So you go on there and you can choose the setup you want, and when you appear, it's set up.
Yeah, I understand. The for me problem is that I'm dragging equipment for shootings actually. So I have to break it down. So
but
after we finish,
this would stay, right?
yeah, the table is staying.
And the microphones?
Yeah. The table only think what stayed.
Yeah.
Everything else will be gone after we finished.
Okay, fine.
Because I have to film it, and this is all equipment I have. And to have another one set of equipment.
I wouldn't duplicate it. You just have your same equipment.
That's 20K. I don't have it.
No, don't buy it. Just literally use it. Yeah, have you read The Lean Startup? The book, The Lean Startup, have you read it?
Yeah, no.
I bought it because some guy at a networking event in Sheffield, he said, it was when I just started. He was like, you read the Lean Startup? What's it called? Mark Rees or something.
Yeah.
Wrote. He's like, you read that book? And I was like, no. He's like, you definitely should. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, great book.
And then I came back and I was going to read it. And then I thought, that guy was a tosser. Why would I listen to him? Fuck that guy. And I never opened it.
So The Lean Startup is a really good book, right? But the premise of it essentially is when you start a business, start it fast and start it with as little capital outlay as possible. So in this case, you'd go, Vicky, can I have the room for free? We'll give you 50% of the rentals. Yes. I'll leave this stuff in here and I'll just use the equipment I've already got. Now your outlay is zero at that point. You spend nothing. You might get a website, but he'll sort it out for you. You know, get some branding. Again, he'll sort it out for you.
50% of
It'll be shitloads of money then. Yeah.
So you got your business and you started with zero. And then what you say is you go to Lincoln and you go, Lincoln, do you want a podcast? So yeah, I want a podcast. You go, cool, it's free, but I want to advertise on your website. And now you've launched it. Done. Thank you, next. And I guarantee you'd have, all you need is what? 6 retainer clients a month? Doing podcasts and breakdown work? You were doing all right?
I'm not sure people are going to pay 500 in Lincoln.
Yeah, but you're getting confused. People won't necessarily do it repeating all the time of the podcast. They might go, oh, we want to do 5 videos. So one of the things that I do it for is micro content. So I book a room and I go in there like, cool, just get the camera on me. And I'll just make like 10 minutes of content. I pay for the room, pay for the editing, move on. But it's like you go on the website, type in like podcast studio, Lincoln, you'll be number 1. People from Nottingham would travel.
Nottingham has studios.
Does it? They're not like yours though.
Not as good as ours, are they? Not as welcoming.
Yeah, the problem I think for me is Lincoln, there's not much studios, there's not much equipment to rent. Equipment what I get used to rent. So we have like all infrastructure of film industry where I can get any lens, any camera 24 hours a day. This is like, they have a lovely website with delivery, and I never worry about equipment. So I only have like my cameras.
Yeah, that camera's a good camera, right?
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, got it off Wish.
So, and I was renting everything else, especially lights, because it's heavy, and I was like, why? I can just deliver it, and the guy, I will pay them. But then when I get here, I'm like, okay. And I find out, where's the rentals? The closest one, what I need? Manchester? I'm like, okay, this is...
So why did you choose Lincoln?
I not choose Lincoln. When I moved, my wife's sister live here, and there was hostels for the first half a year.
Fine.
So I didn't choose. I really want to move to... I know you don't like London.
London's awful. Absolutely hell.
But I want to go there because I feel comfortable.
Have you been?
There. Yeah. And feel comfortable. I guess because of a lot of foreigners.
Okay.
You just wait until you see the prices.
I saw the prices.
I think you did.
No, I think you've seen the prices. I think wait until you see the prices.
I saw the prices. I understand what you're talking about. But anyway, this is the actual... The Dumi was saying about it. The hustle, the rhythm, the mindset of people, like all the creatives all around who you can like spend networking, talk all the time, not on Zoom, join some networking, actually like get out from your house and get to some event.
Yeah, I remember I was in London and the event I went to was cancelled for whatever reason. And I just went onto Eventbrite and found another event.
Yeah.
And it turned up. Yeah.
And I think this is valuable for me because so what I'm doing now, I'm not like a videographer. So I used to have the camera operators, editors, and so I need to find clients. So that is my work. I need to like and control all of what happened in all the processes, not film myself. And I can't really do it for here. It's extremely hard because the budget's not high, and with these budgets, I can't afford to hire anyone because how you say the minimum wages are too high, and there's not enough freelancers what I can work with because they mostly have their own productions who are good in here. So I have to like do most of stuff myself here, and because of the files are huge, I can transfer it to some freelancers from Fiverr because it's like I need like 2 terabytes And then
The hardest part of business for sure, especially in agency, is going from 1 to 6 or something.
Yeah.
Like that, like there's this pure sweat. Like it's the only reason we did it so quickly is because we didn't pay ourselves for a year. The only reason, the only way. If we paid ourselves from day one, I don't think we'd be anywhere near where we were. So because we were at university, right, we didn't need to we need to pay ourselves. So we had a year of just sweating it out. And then the second year we paid ourselves £600 a month or something each, me and Brad. So we had like this 2-year block of just being able to like reinvest every penny and not have to worry about living. And we lived together in like, you got this random like 2-bed flat, and we crashed into, we were 60 quid on each, and we could muster it together to get a flat. So that first part is super hard. And then once you get people in, you've got economies of scale then, and it kind of changes. But yeah, that beginning part is awful. I've actually said many times before that I don't think I'd do it again.
You didn't think?
I don't think I would. If I knew what I knew now, I mean, maybe I would. I don't know. But like, as a broad brush comment, I don't think I would do an advertising agency again from zero.
What you would do if you would you lose everything and you need to start over again?
But we do that on a regular basis. Like we start new companies all the time.
Yeah.
Just most of the time people don't know about them, because the problem that I have is that a lot of people know me for Distract. Like when you open, it's like, Peter, MD of Distract. I actually make more money from other things than Distract. Like Distract, that it does well, but I make more money from doing other things. But if I ever pivot my brand away from Distract, like Distract probably struggles. Do you see what I'm saying? Like at the moment, like I'm the Distract guy. So if I then, and we're trying to change it with Steph and Hannah in the UK, but at the moment I'm the Distract guy. So if I then move away from that, I think Distract will struggle. Every single day we're doing something new. Like we're launching this new AI lead generation tool. Like,
yeah, but what I mean, like if you don't have investments, you don't have money.
but yeah,
You need to start over again.
the machine learning AI tool is like, that's costing us less than $10,000 to build.
Well, you don't have, for example.
Okay, so I have nothing. I just consult. Consulting, exchanging your time for money is the easiest way to get started. So I'd go around consulting for 6 months to 12 months, bank cash, and then go again. Consulting is the easiest way to make money, because you've got your time and it's cost you nothing. And then you invest your time to get paid. But as a consultant, you get paid a lot more than you would if you're an employee.
How do you get the? What if nobody know you?
You run around, you shake a lot of hands. You meet a lot of collaborators, like you meet a lot of partners like you guys, and you like, if I give you some work, I'll give you 10%, you give me some 10%, cool, shake on it. Then you running around and you're running around, you go, I know a good videographer, you go, I know a good social media guy. And now you're basically double networking. So Wallbreaker, that's how we got to know the Wallbreaker boys. When we started, they started a year before us, but we started very similar situations. Every bit of video work I'd give to them, every bit of marketing work they'd give to us. That's why we're so close, right? And we just ran different areas. We'd probably cross over a few times. That's how we worked. That's how we started. You know, you find someone that you can collaborate with and you support each other. And then now, if I need a favor, I just give them a quick call, be like, hey boys, I've got a client that wants this, but just a little bit tighter than normal. You can't sort me out. They're like, yeah, we'll sort you out. Because it goes back 9 years. You know, it's almost like deep trust. And that's probably the biggest thing in business, is having those people you partner with and you connect with and you're with all the time. And the best, most important thing for me is business partner. I'd never start that business partner, ever. Like Brad is incredible. Like he is amazing. Like no one will ever really meet him. Like you would probably have met Brad. He'd never leave he'd always be in the office or be working, at home or wherever he is these days. But, he's incredibly at planning things. And I run around and go, I want to build this AI lead generation tool. Here's how I think it can be done. Go figure it out. He'll go away, figure it out, speak to some people who can help build it. And then he'll come back and be like, all right, Pete, it's done now. And everyone needs those partners. Otherwise, it's a lonely, lonely place. Like it's hard.
What you would do?
I don't know.
If I had literally nothing,
Yeah.
and just wanting to relax and not work hard, I'd move to Bali tomorrow. I'd do some online freelancing. I'd live a pretty relaxed lifestyle.
Yeah, because we had this discussion with Will a little bit, where like racing, in a racing team, managing a racing team.
That's
That's how you get there.
Yeah, that's it, right? That's
Just go and ask. Just say, look, I like racing.
But then you're not
I'm
paying
a
rent.
little autistic. Can I have a job? And they'll be like, we're all a little autistic too. Get in here. I'll be like, oh, cheers, boys. Where are we going? And they'll be like, oh, we're going to Alton Park. And I'll be like, well, I haven't got any money to get there. And they'll be like, well, James has got a van. James will give you a lift. And then I go with James. Quid's in. 60 quid for going.
I'd like to be in his world sometimes, just that world of possibility,
No, I'd ask James.
the world of delusion.
Yeah, that's pretty good. What about you?
Well, I done it a year ago, so
Yeah, I'm doing it now, mate.
Here I am.
This is it.
yeah,
I'll start a podcast with a bellend.
I literally like when I arrived to UK, I have probably less than 1,000 euros, so it even not and it was nothing, and it was like, okay, I think I have 3 months, like really hard. I didn't do nothing. The documents was sorting out, but I was literally don't know what I'm gonna do because it was just because I have pretty much life was sorted, and
So I don't understand how the situation went from Ukraine to you coming here. Like, so this is gonna sound really Little Britain, but like, how do you go from not being on the front line to being here? That makes sense. Like, how do you make that?
Yeah, so I was in Moscow when the war started because my work was there. Most of the film industry was there. So I have to leave Russia. And I went to Latvia. So the first months I was living in Latvia in hotel, and I have my wife and dog. So it was all living probably like half of this room hotel, which was still cost like 50 euro a day. So cash was just going, and the tickets was expensive. Like everything was expensive before, and I was changing money in a bad rate. The crypto dropped a lot, and I didn't have any other assets.
So were you holding Bitcoin then? Is that how you got money out of the country?
Yeah, so I have to sell it, but the price probably was much lower than I was buying, so it was losses. So I can't even count like how much it was lost at this moment, and then all the tickets, living in a hotel, traveling, and I didn't know where I'm going because when I just leave and it was in Latvia, there was no program for UK. There was nothing, and I was thinking like, well, probably I'll go not to Germany or to Spain. Or my wife, she's from Caribbean, so she's English teacher. So I was thinking like, we'll probably need to go to a country where people don't speak English so you can find work. But then the UK started this program, and her sister, because she's citizen of UK, they brought us in and give us home for first half year. 3 months I was in depression. Then one of my clients helped me from Europe. They give me work, give me project that make me register company faster. I was wrapped on that with some scammers lawyers. I paid, I think about £500 to register company. It's funny for you now, but when you just arrive to the country, it's
everything you got.
Yeah, the bank account took a long.
Banks take 3 months to get a bank out here if you got something slightly difficult.
Yeah, I think the Revolut only one who opened fast enough, so I can just start work because I was in the middle of the project already, and I start to spend my 1,000 euro. What I have, I start to spend it to book tickets to Europe, and my client was say, "We want to pay you. Send us the invoice." And I said, like, I don't have a bank account yet.
So like, have you heard of this thing called Bitcoin?
Yeah, but they can't. So yeah, that was a hard year, and I think only probably a couple months ago stuff started to be not fine, but at least I'm not worried about the bills as much as was before, because otherwise I have nothing. The cost of everything is huge, and I think 2 months I was on national insurance where I don't have to pay anything, but then it's changed, and especially when I start to rent the place to live, it's changed again, and it's like constant payments, and it's a lot of business expenses as well.
The payments only go up, so
yeah, I realized that. So yeah, it was hard. So, but I would do the video editing probably if I don't have cameras, have anything. So probably the video editing and freelancing, and just slowly start back again, getting cameras, start film weddings, something like this. Borrow camera probably.
Well, I mean, you could, time for money is the easiest way to get initial amount going, and then you can bring someone in to make the time then you're making the margin on, I guess, the person, right? And then once you get more cash, you can invest in infrastructure, so you're not paying for a person, you're paying for a system that makes you money. I don't know, it's the world's in a wild place, man.
Yeah, and I can't really change where I'm gonna live for next years.
Well,
So
well
this is
unfortunately,
like
it's Lincoln,
the-
you know,
so-
next to him.
If you get a house
No,
together.
I don't mean like Lincoln. I mean like the UK probably will be home for the next
Yeah.
couple years for sure. So I need to figure out the way.
I think that
To the stars
after everything
here.
bad I've said about the UK, I think the UK is a great place to start.
I really
companies.
like
yeah,
that.
and it's great, and it's a nice community. But as soon as you start, you know, performing, I guess it just becomes a absolute drain. But I still
Well,
hope.
this is like the things I'm getting here for what I'm paying. I'm pretty satisfied with it. Everything is look nice around. The cost of crisis not affect me because when I arrived here, everything was already expensive, and it's actually dropped from a little from when I arrived. So I was like, why everyone complaining? What is wrong? Like, because I get used to these prices already.
Yeah.
I didn't. So I just hear the stories where people say, oh, it was like so cheap there. The gas was cheap. The bills was cheap. I was like, I don't know. I only experienced that. So I'm growing my income and business in this condition. So I guess this is make me feel little like, oh, I'm happy, everything fine. I'm still paying for groceries same as I was paying last year, and the bills getting cheaper. I was like, okay, fine. So it's it's different perspective, but yeah, I realized that a lot of UK people are just bitching about the prices all the time. It's one of the things, I guess.
Well, have I introduced you to Pete? Pete.
Yeah.
But yeah, good podcast.
How the crisis affect you?
He's dragging this conversation on now. You're trying to
I
wrap
need a
up.
piss
I can tell.
really bad.
Tommy's trying to wrap up. I can see it.
I'm done.
Yeah.
So
He's
here's my ultimatum. I'm going. So are we all going, or am I going? Because I'm going to pee myself. I've drank 2 bottles of
I'll
water.
tell you now. I've seen him for the last 10 minutes trying to wrap this up.
I need a piss.
and every
can't
time
sit
he's
here
about to
anymore.
Wrap it up. Yeah, Edgar
Right,
goes.
look how sweaty I am.
I think you always like this.
Yeah,
I didn't
How
see
long has it been?
changes.
An hour and a half.
an hour and a half.
See, I told you I'm bang on time.
Yeah, and I'm banging a wee
If
myself.
you would not spend time on this, you could already start.
We don't need him. We should do our own podcast. We don't need Tommy.
Welcome to.
Yeah, I will let you know when the
TP
next office will
talks.
be ready.
Just let me know. If you want to sack Tommy off,
I'm happy.
I'm only a 7-hour flight away, mate.
I'm happy. Yeah. But yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was
been
nice. Thank you.
All right, pleasure.
Thanks.
I honestly didn't expect the conversation to go this way. I thought we were going to talk about business. We spoke about every conspiracy theory under the sun, how the government's failing us all, and how you got into the UK.
Yeah, but you don't tire to talk about business all the time. I think it's kind of
I
like
talk about anything. As you said, you've got notes in front of you, and I bet we haven't covered any of that.
No, it says Joe Biden's aviators in capitals.
Is that
So
right?
I got that. No,
I was like, bro, you cannot be that scripted. Yeah, I'm gonna do a plug for my podcast.
Yeah.
Behind the Journey. I only do podcasts with people who go to Dubai.
Yeah.
Do you know why I do that? To stop any joker going, "Oh, can I go on your podcast?" Like, yeah, you got to fly to Dubai first. It's a good little sieve. And you can see more about that at pete.ae. My URL, my website address. That's cool now.
yeah, we will add it to the link in the description.
Thank you.
And if we ever go to Dubai, if we can ever afford the flight,
Oh, please. If
I'll hit you up.
Yes.
But
See
it's
you
a
in couple
business
months.
expense, no corp tax.
See you in couple months
Good man.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
because I can control when this episode will be out, so it can be actually in a couple months.
He'll be like out in 2028, and he's like,
Yeah.
Oh, how about Little Believe in Us?
Is it coming out that early? Yeah. Thanks.
It was great. Thanks. See you next episode. Subscribe to our channel, like, and read it.
Nailed it.
Whatever. We see you next week. Bye.
I'm gonna piss myself. I'm gonna piss myself.
oh my god.
Thank you, Pete. Can you turn on A?